26th, I'm sorry. I'm 5 days off, January 26th, 2023. And this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 413. Well, at least I got the date right on the second try, Bruce. I saw you shaking your head. I did want to start with a little bit of an update to kind of, I think it's great news actually, but our third party Evo I.S.A program has been in effect for, I think, the better part of a year. Is that right, Bruce?
Yep.
And
yep,
we had not really gotten any feedback, good, bad, or ugly. So I decided this week to take on personally contacting each one of our active participants in that third party program. And to be honest with you, I was expecting the feedback to be good, bad, and ugly. And I was just blown away that it was more like pretty good, really good, and great. Everybody, I didn't talk to everyone, but everyone I did talk to, without exception, if they had been in the program more than a month, they were receiving leads, which really amazed me. And I did notice one common thread, and I'll let Bruce comment on this after I'm done. One common thread I noticed that I actually shared with a lot of you that were towards the end of the list was the people that were expecting the I.S.A to find and identify the lead and then turn it into an appointment. Most of them were getting an okay ROI, but they were accumulating more leads than they were appointments and deals. The ones that were really getting the great ROI, that were just raving fans, were basically using the I.S.A to find the needle in the haystack, to identify who the players were and then turn it over to them. And they were, from that point forward, taking the lead nurturing process and handling it themselves. So that really seemed to be an important common thread, if you want to get the most out of the program. And Bruce, I know you probably have some feedback on that.
Well, I do. Yeah, that program, which is not related to all the leads, it's third party, and I'm involved in identifying and training all the I.S.As that get independently placed in businesses. That program has been gone through some major shifts over the last year. It was when it kind of first came out, it was a little bit of a trial thing, and might drop into Philippines and find someone that had good conversation skills but didn't have any real estate background. And over the last year and a half, it has just been updated to where the inside sales agents, and for those of you that don't know what an I.S.A is, it stands for inside sales agent or inside sales associate. It's essentially a VA or a cold caller. If that's something new to you, go look it up. A lot of businesses run and build successful businesses by scaling their prospecting efforts with I.S.As. So over the last year, the adjustments that have been made and the skill that is being found, that is landing in on my Zoom screen, because I train them and role play them. The skill is just blown my mind. The people, sometimes in other countries, sometimes not, sometimes they're US based, but many times in other countries is unbelievable. Expats that are US citizens that have moved into Ecuador and Argentina and the Philippines that in many cases have real estate licenses has been very impressive. And I'm just very pleased with the program as a whole. And I was also pleased to get some of that feedback that Jim was able to get, because sometimes I get so wrapped up in working on training you guys, making sure that you have classes, making sure that you have the coaching that you need, and then wrapped up in training and role-playing inside sales agents, that I don't always have a chance to reach out to every single person and get that real feedback. So I was very pleased as well with the result of Jim's calls. There are some people that are getting, I see a couple of faces here that have I.S.As, and there are some people that are getting great leads out of the program, essentially using an I.S.A to figure out which 90 people they don't need to call, and who those 10 people are that they need to double down on and throw their effort and energy into getting appointments with. So that's kind of the basics of the program. There's certainly more to it than that. But Jim, I'll throw it back to you. Kind of hear some of the other things that you heard.
Yeah, I actually had asked several of the people that had great results to come on the call. I don't see any of them here, but if you are one of them, and we'll take good, bad, and ugly, but if any of you have any feedback, if any of you that I spoke to that wanted to tell a success story would like to share it, we'd love to hear it. Yeah, I had one gentleman in particular that I think he was with us a good 6 months, and he had accumulated like 52 leads in 6 months and had only done like 1 or 2 appointments. And so he kind of reached the conclusion that I did on his own. He got on the phone and just last week started calling the leads and set 3 or 4 appointments right away. So there just was such a huge difference between, as you said before, Bruce, these people, some of them do have that exceptional skill. Most of them are appointment setters. If they were, if they were good closers, if they were realtors, they'd probably be doing the agent's job. Mm-hmm. So that's the one thing that really struck me, was using it the way it's best intended. And I would also say, we always say, if you have the bandwidth, if you have the willingness, the determination to do it yourself, please do. The I.S.A. is a fallback position. They're probably never going to get quite as good a results as you're going to, but if you aren't going to call them, use the I.S.A. every time. And maybe some of our better agents like Joe Lehman, I don't see him on the call. I know that's what he was doing. Joe is a real estate coach. He's got a couple offices. He's a broker. He's getting hundreds of leads. He was just using it to kind of cull the herd, to go through all the leads, determine who the players were, and then Joe took over from there. So I think that's the best way to use it. And that was the biggest conclusion that I gained from the conversations. And I appreciate all of you that were willing to reach back out and talk to me.
Well, I'll tell you,
Bruce.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, let me just ask a couple of questions, because I think one of the things that might be helpful is that I think a lot of folks that would potentially consider doing this, I don't think they understand exactly what they should be expecting to achieve as a result of having an I.S.A. What are they going to end up with? In other words, is the I.S.A. going to be are they expecting the I.S.A. to deliver them someone who says, hey, I want you to come out and do a full commission listing, please come list my house at 4:00 on Thursday? Or are they finding someone at the other extreme who says, well, I might possibly be interested at some point in the next millennium selling their house? And the answer lies somewhere in between that. But I think clarify that, and also clarify how it actually works, because I think there's a bunch of misperception and gray area there. How do they work with that I.S.A.? They're directing it, but how do they do that?
Well, I think the first answer, the answer to your first question is there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of skill level in this industry. And we've kind of all heard the stories about, including me, I've heard these many, many times, the stories about, oh yeah, why would you pay more than $3 an hour working with someone that might be in the Philippines? And I heard that for years. And I've had lots of $3 an hour I.S.A.s in my personal business. And even when I started training I.S.A.s, we would pick people up like that. And so you've got, on one end of the spectrum, you've got that person that they're essentially a, hey, sorry, your dad died. You thinking about selling the house? Yes. Let me give it to my client. Okay. So you've got that where they're low skill, low price. And I would just steer you guys away from that completely today. That's a different answer than I would have given a year ago. I would steer you guys away from that. What you really want to look for is that person that knows how to have a US-based North American style conversation, carry on a conversation, deal with the angry person, deal with the people that don't answer, and figure out who is probably going to be selling and who is open to a conversation with you, the agent or the investor. Okay, that's where things kind of fall on the low end of the spectrum. On the high end of the spectrum is you pick up someone that might be an expat that has U.S. citizenship and in some cases a real estate license and is sold, that just moved overseas somewhere. And that person's probably going to carry your conversation from start through the nurture process and tell you what time you're going to list a house. And obviously, you've got on that spectrum, you have low price and high price. And I would argue for many of you guys that the high price, even if you're going high price, it's still going to be a lot less than you would pay yourself if you were doing that job. That's the big thing. My goal with everyone on this call and everyone listening after the fact, my goal is to make sure that everyone here that's hearing my voice is making well over $100 an hour. Some of you are going to laugh at $100 an hour. Some of you are going to go, oh my gosh, I can't, I couldn't imagine making $100 an hour. But my goal is to equip you guys and Chuck and us at All the Leads is to make that kind of money or more. Well, if that's what you're making, why would you spend 3 hours of time calling 90 people where 85 aren't going to answer? So the biggest benefit is to get through those 85 people and get the 5 people that answer the phone and are willing to have a conversation with you. And that's where most of the leads come from. It would be a, hey, Doug, here's 5 people. They said they're going to sell. It might be 2 or 3 months, but they said, give them a call and kind of take that relationship from here. All right.
And a couple of incidental or anecdotal things that you reminded me of, Bruce. I had one gentleman, I just love my I.S.A. He said the first time I started to call, I just couldn't take people yelling at me or being upset with me. He said, for some reason, I don't know if it's cultural or what, doesn't bother her a bit. And by the time she passes it to me, they're not angry anymore. They're not mad anymore. So if you're thin-skinned, that's another reason. I had one other person, and I'm pretty sure that person's not on the call today. And this is not a judgment in any way, but it was probably the only somewhat unhappy review. She said, yeah, I've gotten 27 leads and not a single one of them was ready to list this week. And well, that sounds pretty normal to me. I mean, that's how many times do you cold call and they say, come on over right away? I mean, this lead source is no different than any other. You got to take that lead, you got to nurture it, and you got to turn somebody in, wait either until they are ready and or convince them to be ready, and at least nurture it to the point by the time they are ready, you're the only one they want to talk to. So that's part of the process. So I think it's important going into this that everybody have a realistic expectation. They're not going to take over your job. They're just going to make it a whole lot more profitable and easier.
Yep. So that kind of leads me to Tim's next question is how do they work? Because all the leads used to have an I.S.A. program years ago. And one of the problems is you guys are running your business. You guys are the ones at least that should know who you want called, how you want them called, whether you want your name mentioned on the phone or whether you want a generic call. You guys know that. I equip the inside sales agents with all the techniques that they can use no matter what decisions you make in your business, but they are your independent contractor. So I train them to be able to plug into your business as your person, whether that's 2 hours a day, 4 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. They're your independent contractor that is working on your behalf. If you want them to call 10 of your 100 leads, give them those 10 leads. If you want them to call 100, give them the 100. So decision's yours. We always have our recommendations and advice, but the decision on those things is yours. And then Elite Virtual Office and myself as the trainer is just making sure that they are trained to facilitate the direction that you give. Now, a lot of people will pop up and ask who should hire an I.S.A. And it's really 3 people. It's that person that has just killed it and they've scaled themselves up in business to where they just need someone to take the lower dollar an hour work. And that's amazing. I wish that every single person that ever hears this would be at that place where you guys have all the business you want, and it's time to get someone to fill in some of those gaps. But that's not the case with everyone. Some of you guys are, quite frankly, just not going to be good on the phone, and that's okay. We all have skills. I guarantee those of you that are not ever going to be good on the phone are probably 10 times better at some of the things that I don't know how to do. So if you're just not going to be good on the phone, then an I.S.A. might be a good person to fill in the gap. And then the other person that might want to consider working with an I.S.A. would be the individuals that just want to thin the herd. They want to thin through some of those leads, and instead of spending 3 hours a day on the phone, you just want to sift through, or have someone else sift through those calls and give you the hot ones, give you the warm ones that are open to a conversation and have some sort of a future intent to sell. So it's those three categories that are really going to benefit you guys. If you all kill it on the phone, you've got enough leads to where you can spend an hour or 2 hours on the phone every day and you get great results, and that doesn't restrict your other business activities. I want you guys to keep making those calls yourself. Okay, so that's the biggest thing that I want everyone to take away here.
And I think that really pertains to a lot of the things that we do. You know, there are lots of programs out there that will sell you, for want of a better term, sell you education. They're going to sell you, hey, here's how you do this, and I'm going to charge you a lot of money to tell you how to go do this. And you know, we certainly, Jim and I, and I'm sure same thing is true with Chuck and Bruce. You know, we've kind of been involved in this industry long enough that we know there are lots and lots of people out there who learned how to do something and decided that it was more profitable for them to stop doing what it was they learned how to go do and get people to pay them for telling them how to go do it. And the reality is, well, that's a great thing. And, you know, if that's how you want to go spend your money, you know, that's a good thing. And more importantly, if in fact you're the type of person that can take something like that on and say, okay, I can implement that, God bless you. You know, we're here to help you. We'll give you all the good stuff we can give you to get that done with, and we'll certainly offer you the education. But we try to take it to the next step, which is that the common thread between people who are not successful in our industry and the people who are is the people who are implementing the things that they've learned. And you got two ways to implement it. Either you do it yourself, and if you do that, make sure that you are tracking how much time you're spending, because it's the one commodity that you don't have to spend, that you're spending that you can't get back. And you need to make sure that you're spending your you as wisely as humanly possible. The other side of it is, if you spend some of that dollar, the hundreds of dollars that you feel that you're worth an hour, and you spend that on someone doing it for you, then you're force multiplying it, because while that's happening, you can go spend your you on the things that you're far more effective doing. And that's really what it's about. We're an implementation program. We're here to help you get stuff automated. We provide you the tools, the education, and a system to do that.
Tim, I think you could probably frame it like this. You're going to spend something. If you're going to have a successful business, you're going to spend something. You're either going to spend your time, or you're going to spend some money. And if you want to spend your time, we're going to teach you and equip you how to do that. If you want to spend some money instead of time to replace some of that time, we will provide all the resources. So in other words, we're either going to teach you how to fish, or we'll fish for you. You guys let us know which one of those things we can facilitate for you.
Right. And the bottom line to remember is that nothing is going to happen until you're in some way, you got to, you know, there's a piece of paper in front of somebody and a pen, and they're going to put their name on the dotted line. So that's the objective they're trying to get to. How you get there, we'll help you get there.
Yep. Got a question from Winston. He asked cost range for an I.S.A, and that's a great question that a lot of people want to know. It kind of depends on whether you're going to hire, train, and manage an I.S.A or not. If you hire, train, manage an I.S.A, cost range could be offshore anywhere from $5 an hour. And I would not recommend any of these gurus that are out there that say, go hire someone for $3 an hour. I do not recommend that. That's very low level person that's not going to get you any results that you're looking for typically. So cost range, if you hire, train, manage yourself, $5 an hour. If you get just a rock star, and I'm not going to ask my good friend who's an I.S.A. on this call how much she makes. That's none of our business. But it could certainly go up if you go US based in your office. Someone that's in your office with skill, hard to find, could be significantly more. If you're going with an agency, someone or a company that hires, trains, manages for you, then cost range is anywhere from $9 an hour, typically on the lower end. If it could be up to 20 an hour, depending on how skilled they are. And I've heard of agencies that are even more than that. Those would typically be agencies that are only bringing on U.S. Cold callers, appointment setters, and I.S.As. So you guys should just kind of expect do it yourself, $5 an hour on the low end, which is just a steal, but you have to figure all the training and hiring and management out yourself. Or $9, $10 an hour would be a good entry point if somebody does it for you. All right, Tim, Chuck, Jim, you guys have anything?
As a matter of fact, I do. Sorry if there's going to be some background noise. I got drywallers on the floor above me, but actually, what I wanted to bring to the table was kind of talking about some of those sales statistics. So it fits pretty well directly into getting some of the help, and this being an implementation program, as Tim mentioned. We have, a certain number of touch points. I mean, it's the sales statistics that basically says 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So it doesn't mean that it has to be 5 to 12 calls. It could be. It doesn't need to be 5 to 12 letters. It could be. So there's all those components. And as what we've just discussed, we do have the ability where it doesn't have to be all your specific time and energy. You can outsource that to an I.S.A., leverage the direct mail, the mailbox motivator program, and be on the phone yourself. So that's the key thing. Because I mean, let's face it. We teach this, in probate foundations. We teach this in the strategy calls and the orientation, that most of your competition, at least 75% of your competition is stopping after 2 contacts.
2 attempts. Two attempts. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So when we look at that, I mean, that's why it's a 6-month, contact or campaign. That's what we teach. Be there when they're ready. Jim mentioned that 27 folks, they're interested in selling, but not yet. And that's what a lot of this process really comes into play, that this is a nurture game. If you're not in it to nurture and get to that finish line, you will have significantly lower results. So definitely, what I wanted to bring to the table was, raise your hand. We do have the ability for a win of the week, or not just a win of the week, but an idea of the week. And I think we should nominate February to be follow-up February, and have everybody bring in all of their different follow-up ideas. So that way we can start as a mastermind really sharing ideas of what's working well. Because what's working in Seattle, Washington versus Miami, Florida versus New York and Boston and San Diego, it's different strokes for different areas of the country. So definitely that's what this mastermind is about. We're looking to hear from you and what your ideas are and what's working well.
Yep. Awesome. So for those of you that don't know, and we're going to roll out a promotion that Elite Virtual Office is authorized here in just a little bit. But for those of you that don't know, you've never been here before, we are not an I.S.A. company. We're a leads and a systems company. All the Leads gives probate, pre-probate, and divorce leads to agents and investors. And we've got non-agents or investors as well sometimes, but mostly real estate agents and investors that are looking to scale up your business by capitalizing on people that are in some kind of a life transition where a house is transferring ownership. So these are highly motivated leads. And then we teach you not just, hey, take our leads. We teach you how to implement a system. As we mentioned a little bit ago, you can go implement that yourself. We'll give you as little as the leads or do as much of that for you as you want. If you want a website, we can build you a customized website for probate, a customized website for divorce, other customized websites. If you want your mail done for you, we have tons of, last I counted, 45 plus letter templates, brochures, postcards. We can mail it out for you. So you guys can do your own mail. We can do it for you. You can build your own website. We can do it for you. We train you. We have tons of classes to offer. So if you're not a subscriber and have never heard of us before, go check us out at alltheleads.com. Our support team and sales team is available to answer any of those questions for you. You can check your county. We do limit the number of subscribers in certain counties, so we're not about creating undue competition for you guys. But with what Chuck said a few minutes ago is 75%, and Chuck, I think your statistic is really low. 75% of people that get into this space only make about 2 contact attempts before they quit. I honestly, having been in this niche for 9 years, I think it's more like 95%. And I see a lot of very familiar faces here. So I know you guys, many of you guys are not in that 95%. You're in the 5% that hit it hard. You do what it takes in your business to be successful. And if you're the 5% that go after it and you follow up and you establish relationships and you do the marketing, you do what we teach, you're going to see success in this business. Hands down, it's almost impossible to avoid success in this niche. So come check us out if you're not already a subscriber. If you are, we're here to take your questions, I.S.A. related, probate related, mail marketing, websites, calling, whatever it is that you need, throw your hand up. We're here to take those questions or wins. So if you have had success in any of those areas and you want to share, winner of the week gets a discount on your next month of leads. So we want to hear from you guys as well. Tim or
Hey,
Chuck?
Bruce, one of our people that wanted to offer a story, Aaron Layton, just came on the call. He wanted me to know he's here.
Oh, great.
And Aaron, if you would like to share, unmute yourself, please. Do you see a hand?
Oh, Aaron, I actually don't see Aaron on here.
He texted 8 minutes ago. I guess I waited too long to respond.
Right.
All right. If he comes back, we'll call on him. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right, Jim, Tim, Jim.
Oh,
Tim,
else? Bruce, he just said it will not allow him to unmute. He's here.
Aaron, raise your hand, go down to, oh, by the way, if you guys want to ask questions, you could be watching on our streaming device, chat your questions in. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, we'll answer those. If you're here in Zoom, raise your hand. You just hover over the reactions button at the bottom of your screen and raise your hand. And I will ask you to unmute. Paul, I'm going to come to you in here in just a quick second since Aaron was trying to chime in. We'll get to you in just a minute. Aaron, go ahead and unmute yourself now.
Hey guys, thanks. It's actually the first mastermind I've been on. But basically, I was just going to say that I've been doing the I.S.A. program for, I guess it's almost been a year now. I think I started early last year. I was one of the people that definitely started out allowing them to set appointments and waiting for that part. But I definitely discovered pretty early on that they were identifiers. And from there, you want it to send mailers or follow up, however you want it to handle that. But That's definitely the highest and best use I've found with the I.S.A. is to allow them to identify, and they're going to follow up. At least my I.S.A. does, until they set an appointment or determine that they're not going to do anything. But if you follow up as well, it only increases your chances. So that's really what I've found to be the best. And also look at tax records if you can, to try to see if there's any alternative addresses. If you don't see anything on the lead sheet for where you could, like, for example, if you got the PR's name, you could look them up and see maybe where they live. You could maybe send a mailer directly to them instead of to the property, something like that. But that's pretty much what I've got.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. Go ahead, Chuck.
So Aaron, let me ask you a question. When your I.S.A. is getting you, kind of setting the ball on the tee for you, they're identifying people that raise their hand. Is your I.S.A. getting the email address, the best email address for the PR?
Sometimes, not every time. That could be them not always asking, or that could be them just not able to acquire it. I'm not sure. That's something I've been more, I try to touch base with my I.S.A. a minimum, like, as they reach out to me more than once a week, but I try to reach out to them myself once a week on Fridays and check in and see, how are the leads going? What's the responses you're getting? Because it seems to be pretty, like our business to some extent, at least where I'm at, seasonal, in the respect of people are ready to go or they're not. And I know the probate process plays a part, obviously. Some people wait until the probate process closes in order to do anything. Some people just want to get it over with, and they're willing to try to sell the property ASAP. But I'm not sure. I'd have to ask her if she's always asking for the email address, or if she struggles to acquire it. I know personally trying to get an email address over the phone is usually a hassle. A lot of the times I like to text people for that, because you can mess up so badly trying to get an email address. But I'd have to ask.
Yeah, and the reason I ask, and one of the things that I've started discussing with many of our subscribers in the strategy calls is we have the probate checklist. And when you make that initial call, being able to have that probate checklist and be able to either mail them a physical copy or email them a PDF, I think that's a good opportunity for continuing to add value. And with the email address, opens up the door for a significant amount of different media types on how you can follow up.
100%. I think that you have to try to get, and not just get, but confirm the best contact number, phone number, because I've run into scenarios too where it's a landline that gets shut down, that maybe they're staying at the property, or it could be a cell phone for, sadly, the deceased that they were using, and that may have been the phone you were contacting on, and that one either the voicemail fills up, or they shut it down. I've run into a bunch of different things, and I think it's best to try to get more than one phone number if you can. And yes, an email address would go a long way, because it's not the best in the world, because people get so many emails all the time, but it is another medium to get to them, and it doesn't cost anything.
I love how you talk about another medium, because that's what we teach is every consumer that's out there, every inheritor, executor, every lead that you get, they're all going to have their own buying formula. And one of the questions we get all the time is, what sequence should I send my letters out? What should letter 1 say? What should letter 2 say? Should I send a text on day 45 or day 46? Okay. These are all questions that come through very frequently. And the truth is you don't know what that consumer's buying formula is, because they all have something different. You guys want to be able to use as many different ways of reaching out and delivering your message as possible, because you don't know what that person's formula is. And you don't want to send the exact same message every single time. You want to change it up. You might want to have an I.S.A. You might want to call yourself one time. You might want to text. You might want to send a postcard or a letter. You might want to send a letter that says, "Hey, do you want to sell the house?" You might want to send another letter that says, hey, I have a concierge service. So change it up and really expand the way that you're thinking about it, because there is no perfect formula for everybody. There is a perfect formula for every individual that you're prospecting and working on. And you're not going to find that unless you do a variety of different techniques. The variety works. And it's not too expensive, guys. It really isn't too expensive. After last week, I was going to do a short video, and I haven't gotten to the video yet, but I was going to do a short video explaining exactly how much it cost me to produce a deal and what that ROI is. And I have all the numbers laid out on the average return on investment and cost per deal. But once you guys see it, you're going to say, well, if it cost $1,000 to get a deal, why don't I just go spend $1,000 every time I want a deal? And that's the way that you want to think about it once you know your numbers. So you guys be looking, because I'm going to do that video sometime in the next couple of days and deliver it through our email program. Okay, Paul, let's go to Paul. If you'd unmute yourself, please.
Hey, thanks. Did I just hear probate checklist mentioned? Is that on the website before I ask my other question?
Yeah, we do have a probate checklist. So you can check with the support team or your marketing implementation specialist, and they can help custom design a specific checklist. It's something that I offer to people all the time, especially on the phone or through mail. Is if sometimes I'll just send it unsolicited. Hey, I know you're early in probate. I thought this might help, or it might be a follow up to someone I've had a conversation with. But we do have a very good, I believe it's a 2-page probate checklist that you can either offer as bait to warm a lead up. You can offer it unsolicited, or you could send it to the people that you're in communication with.
But it's nothing. It's nothing pre-printed on the site.
You can go to alltheleads.com/catalog to see all the different types of marketing materials that we can customize and print or provide PDFs for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On to the real question. I was working on my third opportunity through my list of leads with you guys through the months, and came upon a lady where she is the PR for her brother and has some difficulties with his kids, whatever, kind of hanging out in the house. She's paying the taxes. Obviously, she wants to sell it. The house is really not all in that great condition. So when somebody asks you, do you have the ability to fix it up or sell it as is? Obviously, we want to say yes, but more importantly, when they say, do you have somebody that would fix it up and then sell it? And this is probably a dumb question, but I want to make sure that there's no pink elephant in the room. Other than them funding that or me funding that and getting the money back at proceeds, am I correct? That's really the only option.
No, there's one more.
Okay, perfect.
Probate cash. And Alyssa is going to post that in chat. Alyssa or Eric will post that in chat. Probate cash is a way that if they're getting an inheritance and they can prove it, they're on the will, then probate cash is a way that they can get funds to basically flip their own property.
Bruce, they want to come through the link that's set up on our site to do that, so that they get the best deal, because we negotiated with probate cash to do that. Not only are you able to get them some money, but you can earn a commission on the process.
Yep.
So somebody's going to drop that in chat.
Should be here any second, dropping in chat. So yeah, probate cash. Tim, what's our subdomain for that? Just in case someone's listening to it after the fact.
I'll come back and I'll put it up.
I got
there.
it.
Yeah, I got it.
my.alltheleads.com, my.alltheleads.com / cash advance.
And remember, that's my, instead of www, it's my.alltheleads.com / cash advance.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Glad I asked.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. All right, Sue Steinman. Those of you that are chatting your questions in, I'm going to come after Sue. I'm going to answer a couple of the questions that have been chatted in either here on Zoom or on the streaming platforms. Sue, go ahead. Good to see you again.
Hey, good to
Hey.
see you too. I'm working with a partner. We're following up on some probate leads, and I feel like we've come in at the last second. Make the story short, this girl is living in her mom's home. Mom and dad got divorced. Mom has the home. Dad was paying the mortgage. Dad decided after mom died that he was kind of bitter about the divorce and quit paying the mortgage. Now, I'm assuming, we don't have all the details from her, but this was over COVID. So nothing happened, but now she's in foreclosure. In fact, her house is supposed to go to the courtyard, the auction at the courthouse steps on Monday. And the problem, or the situation is, she's not on the mortgage. The dad doesn't want to have any communication with it, yet the house has, it's like a $400,000 house, and the mortgage is only $160,000. So any suggestions of who she might be able to talk to? So far, she's claimed that when she's tried to talk to Wells Fargo and had a HUD advisor, that nobody will talk to her. Yet in Arizona, and I'm sure it's similar in other states, if she can come up with that LAC money, which is about $21K, she wouldn't lose the house to foreclosure. So I'm just kind of looking to see if anybody has any wild brainstorm ideas.
Well, it's not really a wild brainstorm idea. You should be able to stop that foreclosure unless it's been stopped multiple times. Go ahead, Chuck.
I was just going to ask, I mean, as far as where are they in the probate process, and what does the will say? I mean, does the house go to the daughter in the will?
Yeah, and that's kind of the irony, is that she had, now it all dies, but the power of attorney, and it died when the mother died. But she legally, I've looked up the records, legally has the house in her name, yet her dad was the one that's been paying the mortgage. So it's being foreclosed on because it's not being paid on. And she says, I can pay the mortgage, and if I can get a loan, I can pay off the $21,000. And then she says, I'm willing to sell it because I want to be out from underneath it. But I mean, right now, even the dad is like throwing away $200,000 in equity.
Yep. Absolutely. You should be able to stop it. Communicating with the right department at the bank is going to be key. There are attorneys that could step in and help stop it. There are people that do short sales that are going to have connections with the banks. And this is Wells, you said? This is a Wells Fargo?
Wells Fargo, right.
Okay. Yep. So you want to go, it's been a while since I did a Wells Fargo short sale. But you probably, as the agent, want to get an authorization to release information from the client, and you fax it into Wells Fargo and start to talk to them. Jim, do you have any additional advice on that?
Yeah, Sue, did I hear you say there was 200,000 equity?
Yeah, the house.
Oh, so it's not a short sale then. Actually, no. Sue, I will call you right after this call. Coincidentally, Tim and I had a long conversation with the gentleman who's on the call. It looks like he can't talk, but they actually have a nationwide service where they can pretty inexpensively stop the sale. Now, I don't know if next Monday is too soon or not. That's a really short fuse, but let me find out for you. And they basically prepare a petition, and which I think they will send to the interested party that can go down to the courthouse and stop the sale. And the charge is only like $175 to $300. It's not a high.
That's nothing.
It's really nothing. Roger, if you want to unmute and comment, it looks like he may be busy on another call, but I'll reach out to you after this call and I'll connect you with him and see if we can make this work.
Yep. Good. In many states, if there is a foreclosure and there's a lot of equity sitting there, and many states, not all, and it might be all of them, but I know of it. I only know of a couple of specific states where the person can go get the equity back from the lender in a lot of instances. So that's certainly something that could happen. It really doesn't help us in our profession a whole lot, but if somebody just gets foreclosed and there's a bunch of equity, there are a lot of there are some legal processes in certain states that will allow you to help them recover the loss.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Chatted questions. I thought I saw one. Let's see. Jim. Jim asked if I will teach ISAs, if I'll basically run them through a course. Yes. The answer is yes. You'll want to probably book an ISA discovery call with me on the All the Leads website. Again, I want everyone to know that that's a third-party company. If you're late to the game here, it's third party. But if you go to alltheleads.com, log in and click on ISA, you can jump on my calendar and I'll tell you how I could train someone if you already have an ISA. It takes anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks. It depends on how quickly they pick up on the techniques that I teach. It's heavily course related, so it's not me doing lots and lots of one-on-one with an ISA, but they're going through a kind of a guided course. And then they finish with about 4 recorded role plays with me that are role play training sessions that you get copies of. So we can do a training of your ISA. Someone had asked, okay, so Karen asked if there was so if we could discuss working probate in the luxury market, best practices. One thing that you have to consider in a luxury market is often people with wealth will set up a living trust. So you're working in a luxury market. You're typically not going to have quite as many probate cases as you would in kind of an average price market. However, it's absolutely true that even though it's a larger percentage of those that pass away with a trust, that you won't get that as a lead, there are still lots of instances where people pass away unexpectedly or they procrastinate. It could be a wealthy person that just procrastinated on setting their trust up. Prince went through probate. What was Donald Trump's ex-wife's name? She went through probate. These are wealthy individuals that had to go through probate, and we're talking about super wealthy. So you want to
same for Michael Jackson.
Same for Michael Jackson. Yeah, his estate went through probate. So there's
Walt Disney's another one that just blew me away. Walt Disney's family fought for 20 years over his assets because he did not have a living trust set up.
It's
pretty
amazing.
Smart guy. Yeah, pretty smart guy that didn't do the right thing.
Yep. So you want to treat them just like anyone else. You're probably going to want to reach out, and maybe one of your initial offers would be to offer an estate evaluation. So you might want to build a team up where you can evaluate antiques. Of course, you can evaluate real estate values, but you might want to evaluate antiques, different things like that, and get your team together where you guys can come in and do a full estate evaluation. And you might even say, hey, we offer a full free estate evaluation for those going through probate. Would that be beneficial to you? And that's a way that you get your foot in the door without the, sorry, your husband died, do you want to sell the house? So it's just a way to offer some value and start establishing some credibility and rapport without immediately going after the sale. And people that are going to sell, if you've established that credibility with them, they'll give you a shot. They'll give you a shot. So treat it comparable to the way that you would treat someone that's not in a luxury market, but maybe offer something initially. Offer something a little bit different from an evaluation standpoint. That's what I would do. All right. Hopefully that helped, Karen. If it does not help, please let me know. You can chat your question in or raise your hand, and we'll and clarify that question a little bit. We're happy to readdress it if I didn't help answer the question. Roger, let's go to Roger. Go ahead and unmute yourself, buddy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Roger Lisi in Northwest Arkansas. I wanted to one of the anomalies of my market is beneficiary deeds. And I've started in earnest, really getting on the phone and talking to people and researching stuff now that I'm back to, let me say, 65 to 70% of speed. But I'm finding that the attorneys in Arkansas are beginning to go with beneficiary deeds as a result of a state law that stops the Medicaid reimbursement by taking the home if it doesn't have any other liens on it. So, or if it's in the name of the deceased. So I'm finding that beneficiary deeds are being used by attorneys as opposed to moving people into trust. I've even had people go in to talk about trust, and they don't want to pay the cost of it, so they move the property using that instrument. It's okay. I'm still what's winding up happening is they still wind up having to file probate because there's other things in the estate that have to take place. It may be a small estate or something else that they've got to use money with to take care of things. But that's just an anomaly for mine market. I have a comment on the bankruptcy probate issue. The mortgage is being held by the father who's not who wants to be a stick in the mud. He is the challenge that you have because that foreclosure is going to go on his record, and he's just being obstinate about it. And there may be a way that he can get a couple of ways that he can get that done. And number one is a short sale, but also he's going to be if he wants to keep the bankruptcy off of his record, he can file a foreclosure. In Arkansas, it's very difficult to get the foreclosure to stop because the attorneys are centralized from all of the big banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase. They have certain law firms that are charging the banks out the wazoo, and so they won't let go of a foreclosure unless there's something like a bankruptcy that's involved. And so it's another thing that the heir, the daughter who is on the deed, doesn't lose anything except the value that's going to be there. And it's the mortgage holder that's going to be on the foreclosure and not who's on the title. Mm-hmm. So you have a little bit of leverage, a little bit of an automobile pump to get that dad to move, because he's the one that's going to have the foreclosure on his record. And it'll be a good way to remind him, his next call is to an attorney. And it might be advantageous to have an attorney to help if he's in the state and in the local area. It might be advantageous. He probably won't take it if you offer an attorney to help him get out of that. But all of a sudden, he's a key player in salvaging his in answering the question of what's going to happen. Once it gets into bankruptcy, then you can bring it. What I've done in that case is I've had an offer for someone contingent upon approval by the bankruptcy court in advance of the property being filed in bankruptcy. That way you have a key to go to the bank and say, here, I've got an offer. We can, and the attorney has more leverage with the judge, with the bankruptcy trustee in stopping the foreclosure, and the banks will sit there and they go feet up when they start seeing you've got a bank and we're going to get a net, we're going to get the loan paid off. Then all of a sudden they don't have a reason to go with bankruptcy, and bankruptcy trustees appreciate the work that we do in doing that. I've done that twice over here in my market. So I'm not trying to steal any thunder from anybody, but that's just my experience on that. That's all I got to say. Thank you guys for bringing me in.
Thanks, Roger. All right. Well, guys, this hour absolutely flew by. If we missed your question, please come back next week. You can also, if you have questions on the system, any of our program, you can go on alltheleads.com. There's a phone number where you can talk to an account representative to answer any of your subscription questions. We also have our support team on standby. You call the phone number on alltheleads.com, or there's a chat feature at the bottom where you can chat in those questions and kind of learn about the program or learn about any of the marketing and prospecting or website techniques and options that we talked about today. Now, because Elite Virtual Office is a separate entity, I do want to let you guys know a way that you can learn more, discover more, find out if an I.S.A. might be right for your business. And I think Alyssa is going to throw that up on the screen. But if you guys want to learn a little bit more, and if you book a call, either it'll go on my schedule or one of the operations managers with Elite Virtual Office. If you want to book a call, you can either log on to alltheleads.com, click on I.S.A, and there's a calendar link there where you can get a discovery call, or you can talk to the support team at All the Leads, and they'll send one of the operations managers a message with your information. If you do that and book your call by tomorrow end of day, and I know everybody's on a different end of day, so let's just say midnight, you will get your setup fee waived as long as you've onboarded an I.S.A. within the next week. So call in. By the way, this says 5 p.m. Eastern time. I already know that they'll do midnight. So call in before end of day tomorrow and get on that schedule, I guess. And then you'll have a week to have your discovery call. If you want to hire someone, your setup fee will be completely waived. And that's good for the first 10 people. After 10 people, there won't be any more I.S.A.s for another week or two. So it's good for 10 people. If you want somebody, get on my schedule or talk to support and get on one of the operations managers' schedule over there. Tim, Jim, anything to add or close out?
No, another great call, Tim.
You're right at 2:00. I would say that it's important to remember that this all works together, and the two best methods right now for reaching out and touching your customers are certainly, if you can do them yourself, that's fine. But if not, we're here to help you with both mail and the I.S.A. program with Elite Virtual Office, and they can help you do that as well. And doing them together is the best possible way to do it. The more touches that you can do, the better. It's all about being top of mind at the right time. And we're here to help you do that so that you can focus your time on the things that are the most valuable, which are talking to motivated sellers and motivated buyers, not wasting your time doing things that we can do for you more economically than you can do it yourself. Jimmy?
All right.
Business to the barn.
Yeah, I will do it. I want to close as I always do. I want to thank each and every one of you. Great turnout today. I'm pretty sure 3-digit turnout. The next thing is we'll have to get it to 4 digits. See if we can get up to 1,000 people that actually show up live. But I think this is our best turnout ever. I want to thank each of you for being here. Particularly thank those who actively participated and shared some great ideas. And I want to challenge each of you, take one idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you. See you same time next week. Take care.